So I just want to quickly go over the prospect of casting spells. And for background, you spawn with the hex book, and it's got a lot of lock sections because you have to actually progress through the mod before you reach next steps. And it starts at just like fuck. It starts at just like actually collecting the modded amethyst items. Hex casting research because you pick these up and you're just instantly curious. And so that unlocks for our case patterns is important. Um, let's just start with breaking a block, 'cause that's always easy. So breaking a block, break block spell, just needs one vector. In this case, we're using it as a position, even though vectors can be both a position, direction, because they both have direction and magnitude. So in this case, we're breaking a block, and we're just gonna take our position for the vector, which isn't useful in of itself, because like you can't really be inside of a block in our case. So to get our position, we're going to reference ourself with Mind's Purification, which is a diamond that goes in a counterclockwise formation, and Compass Purification, which is a no, Compass Purification 2. I'll take the foot position, which is it's the same thing as Compass Purification 1, but it's counterclockwise. And this thing will take the foot position of the entity that you previously mentioned, which is us in this case. And so now we've got a position of exactly where we were standing. And so if now if there's a block there and we cast it, it'll break block spell, which is a swirl that goes counterclockwise, starting at the left, going into the middle of a hexagon. It's broken! Yay! But that's kind of useless on its own because when are we going to be like inside of another block? That doesn't mean that doesn't have any good survival applications. So in this case, we're going to take a block that we're looking at with another little spell called like Architect's Distillation or something. They have a reason to have that second word there. It's not a basic spells. It's just there's patterns and there's spells. Spells actually do shit. Patterns just like give you the shit that you need to do shit. So like here's the two ones that we used before. Mind's Reflection passes ourself as an entity to the stack. Compass Purification 2 gets our foot position. This previous one gets the eye position, which is more useful for what we're about to do. And Alidades is also useful because it'll get our eye direction. And so this adds up to Archer's Distillation, not Architect's. That gets the fucking block position of what you're looking at, or what any entity is looking at, or what anything is looking at from anywhere. You just give it a position and a direction. It'll cast a ray from there. So we're gonna take for the first position, which is the literal position, is our eye position, which we'll have with Compass Purification 1, and then the second one is the direction that we're looking in, which uses Alidades, this guy. So we're going to need to mention ourself twice because we're getting those two factors in this. So our self and our eye position, which is counterclockwise, and our self and our look vector, Alidades. And then we cast Architects, Archers, which looks just like that. And that'll give us the position of the thing that we're looking at. And now, just like before, we've got a position and we're ready to break a block, a single position, which is, you remember it. That crafting table is going bye-bye. That pig's not going to be able to craft no more. He's out of a job. Now it's useful. Oh my god, this mod is useful. Let's try that again. God fucking damn it. I'm so mad that that happened. Anyways, let's make this more useful for like lights and stuff, because when we select a block, we're getting inside of it, and Conjure Light doesn't really like it when you're selecting inside of a block. So in this case, if we're like doing it inside this grass, it'll do something harmful. It'll make an explosion of level 0, which doesn't really break anything, but if you were in that, it'd hurt you a tiny bit. But you'll see it's not a light, so it's mad. So we're gonna appease it by taking the block right above it, which we can do by taking the vector that we get at the end of doing Archer's Distillation, the position of the grass block, and adding a vector of with a positive 1 y value to it, which will just like if we add those together, it'll just move it 1 block up. Which you can do just by adding any other number, which we can see in the mathematics tab, is just a little add. It's a little bow. It'll take the two last things that you put in there and it'll add them together. And so if we go into constants, there's a little tab for all the vector constants, which is just a bunch of different vectors with specific just specific values, mostly 1 and -1 in each of them. They all have their own purpose. In this case, we're using this one, the top left of vector reflection, positive y, which starts on the right, goes counterclockwise, and goes 2 out. So we're gonna add this to the position that we select with fucking archers. So same shit. Just select it as you previously have, and we can take the new guy, and we can add that together, and now we have an applicable position for conjure light, and it'll make everything work. It's so fucking beautiful! Okay, time for more of this shit. So if we were to do the same thing that we did in the last video, but like on a wall or something, because sometimes you do want to place shit on a wall. It's 1.18. There's caves are like mansions now, and so placing them on walls would be optimal. And so if I wanted to do this and placing the block above, there's a block above there, and that position is no longer cool. So this doesn't apply to all cases. It popped like a freaking balloon. So there's another thing that we can use that will give us a value like the constant that was just one in one axis going in one direction, but it will specifically apply to the face that you're looking at, which is the same, almost the same thing as Archer's distillation, but it's actually that other thing that I was fucking up saying earlier, Architect's distillation, which is the same thing but upside down, and that'll still cast a ray, but it'll like give you the hit position, the hit normal, if you know what that means. So let's put a light right there on the middle of that little L of dirt, because you're gonna take a fat L after you try to type this and fail. To do this, we're doing the same thing twice effectively, except the archers is upside down. Do that. And so now we have those two awesome little values. Note that one of them is a cardinal cardinal little vector. And so add those together, and then we can cast a light, and it'll always put it on the wall that we're looking at, which is something that if you put it on a trinket, which I'll probably cover in the next video or the video after that, it'll always place it one block off of the one that you're looking at. It's just so fucking, I'm in a trance staring at the. So I changed my mind. I don't really want to do trinkets yet because that's tedious. It's like taxes, and I don't do those. So let's do fireball like you said, which is kind of fun. There's an explosion spell. There's a fireball spell. They kind of do the same thing, but I think fireball is just better. I don't understand why they did it like that. And so it's some basic spells. There's explosion, fireball. Okay. It's kind of hard to tell what directions these go in. But just remember that for everything else, there's like a bend to all this. Oh, impulse is a good one to go over too. But since we see no bend here, we can just assume that it just goes through. So this is a nice little just radioactive formation. I think this one just goes counterclockwise and fucking fuck. Explosion goes clockwise, which is the only difference between the two. It doesn't really matter what direction you do these. It matters that like the rotation direction you do these in, but it doesn't matter what direction, like literal direction, relative to the field you do these in. So in this case, we're doing fireball. We need a vector, just a position. This thing is ambiguous. We don't really need to put it off a block, in a block, it doesn't matter. It'll just blow up regardless. And a number of a value, just a number in question. Let's do fucking. I think 5 will work in our case. Oh fuck! I have to go over numbers. Shit. All right, let's do that first. Hold on. I changed my mind again. This is the taxes situation. We're going on to like the first most boring thing you have to deal with in hexcasting, which is numbers. And I think you can assume that you're not able to just like draw 2. That's not 2. Numbers work very weird in hexcasting. You start off with a shape exactly like this. This is 0. It's a counterclockwise diamond starting on the left, not on the bottom like mine's reflection. And then you make a cross through it. This is positive 0. This is negative 0. Same shit. It just depends on if you do it clockwise or counterclockwise. Counterclockwise is positive. And then let's just add a 1 to this. It's 1. Let's just add a 2 to this. That's 2. Let's just add 3 more lines to this. And I bet you're assuming that that's the only way you make numbers. So if you want to make a really big fat number, you just like stretch your screen to like the widest possible aspect ratio you can, and then treat it like that. Thank fucking God that's not the case. And so there's good documentation on this of exactly how number literals work. For like the direction that you go has like a completely different property. Will just like affect the number in a completely different way. Fuck. Navigating petrol books is so fucking annoying. Anyways, so there's going forward, left, right, sharp left, and sharp right. Notice that it doesn't say like specifically like up or what direction is left. It's completely relative to the direction that you're going. This applies to every single spell that I've shown so far. Like Mind's Reflection, the one where we mention ourself. I can do that fucking upside down if I wanted to. I can do it right side up. It doesn't matter as long as I'm going clockwise. And so when you saw me doing 6 earlier, this is one forward, which is add 1, and a soft left, which is 5. So 1 plus 5, that's 6. And then soft left is add 10. So this will give me 11. And if I do this, this will give me also 11. But if I go forward one more time, this will just add 1 because I'm not turning it all. So this will be fucking 12. 12. That's so good, useful. Let's do some math. Add. Oh my god. And now sharp left and sharp right. This is kind of hard to remember because soft left, which is like up in our situation, adds 5 while soft right adds 10. So it seems like lower is higher, even though a sharp right is divide and sharp left is multiply. So it's higher for multiply, lower for divide, higher for add, lower for add. Whatever. So let's just have like 3 and divide by 2, which is a sharp right. Yup, 1.5. Let's have 6 multiply by 2. This will be 12. So that's how you get things very small. That's numbers. Just keep staring at this. Pause the video, stare all over that. Just put your big fat eyes all. No more taxes. Let's make a big kaboom. You saw in the video before last exactly how Fireball works. We just get a position, we make a number. I want to just macerate that fucking pig. So let's just get the block that we're looking at. I'm having spasms because this is like driven me nuts over the past couple of videos. So we have that little video, we have that little block. And so then we need a big fat number. Let's just make 10. That's probably way too big for our situation. And then I forget which direction Fireball goes in. It goes counterclockwise, starting to the left. Up, boom! Oh, my island. Status update. I fixed everything. What? Ahaa? You know, I kind of like this guy. He's just like bobbing up against like a little water source that doesn't exist. If you can see those little vertices that are shown by the shaders, he's just hitting that. Let's use him as a dummy for something that's also quite important, which is very similar to how we select a block that we're looking at, except with this what the hex book calls the raycast mantra. With the diamond, triangle, diamond 7. This is important. Just remember this. You'll use it in a lot of stuff, especially this thing. With selecting entities, Scout's distillation does the same thing as before, but it'll just get the entity that you're looking at. And so that'll sorry, I should totally be in survival mode and have the wherewithal to cast this. Note that I can just move anywhere as soon as I have these down. Because, like, they're already set. Like, I already took my position over there, and it just made a vector over there. It's not going to change it while I move. So now that I have a position and a direction that points to him exactly, once I cast Scouts, I've got the coconut crab as an entity at the top of the stack. And I can treat this like we treated ourselves as an entity. So what if I want to, like, place a light right where he is looking? I could take his eye position the same way we would take our eye position, which is the counterclockwise diamond compass purification. And then we've got a position. Let's just make a light. Oh my god, he had an idea! I think I'm finally ready to get on to trinkets because we've done all the pre-tax work we need to do. And so that's the trinket itself is a little item that you need to craft yourself before you actually put a spell into it. Resources are just iron, 4 iron, and 1 amethyst. It scales in cost for materials as the as you want a more valuable casting item. In our case, trinkets are. Oh wait, yeah, we have to smelt this. This is a hexel spell. You can't do this without you can't do what I'm about to do without hexel. So in our case, we just need iron, which is manageable. Ciphers, which is a more inexpensive version of trinkets, just require copper and dust. This is a shard and iron. And artifacts, we'll get to that. So let's go back to basics. We have one item of shards, and we'll be selecting this as an entity. But as for getting back to basics, we're gonna put a break block spell on this like we had earlier, so that we can actually have something useful in survival that we can make pretty early game. And so put down the entity. This is gonna be a battery that we put in the trinket. We can recharge it later. Um, and so we're gonna select this. The trinket needs to be in the offhand, at least at the end. So let's first select this, and then let's have our little spell, which we remember was the Raycast mantra or something. And so get the block that we're looking at and break it. And that is pretty much everything. Now we just need to cast a spell that crafts a trinket, which is this funny looking thing. It's the biggest one you've seen so far. But trust me, don't feel bad. It's gonna get way fucking worse and way huger later. And so we now have a trinket, full bar, because we haven't used anything yet. 145 dust. We put in like what was it, like 32 or no, like 28 shards. That's what's in there now, and it also used up a bunch of other stuff in the inventory. I think I had more charged amethyst in this and a bunch of dust, which is now gone because that was used in crafting the trinket. Because crafting the trinket and stuff, that does take media in of itself. But let's use this thing for crying out loud. Oh my god! Oh my god! You can see my random tick speed is really high because it's placing grass there already. That's crazy. Doesn't break unbreakable things like that thing that's giving me infinite saturation. I can't break that, but it can break literally anything else instantly, such as obsidian. It's very long range, so it's very powerful. But remember, you have to be a mage to do this, and you also have to be collecting a lot of amethyst. Like from those like 10 blocks that I broke, it's already down like a little notch. So let's just break a bit more, and let's say I want to recharge it in a second. Oh, jeez, it's like my trinket's almost empty. So we're gonna charge into in a very similar way that we actually made it. Same case, casting item and offhand. Let's select that little amethyst. If you're not used to the hitbox, you need to select exactly on the hitbox, just somewhere on there. So just don't feel free to turn those on whenever needed. I'm using interactive, which is why it's laying on the floor flat. So when we select that, we need to recharge, so we're going to go Jew mode and make a big star, going counterclockwise for the initial hexagon and still counterclockwise, making this little star. This is the recharge item spell, and it recharged it, and it didn't use all of it, but it used some of it. And that's also something to note. Trinkets don't need to estimate to the nearest item when casting a spell and like using up media as fuel. These kind of form as some kind of liquid. So like when it refers to it as liquidized spells. We'll get to that later. It has to do something with these files up here. It'll cardinalize it down to dust. And so it won't waste anything like we were doing with the birch staff, where something even as fruitful and juicy as a charged amethyst would cost. Like if we were to just like break one block, it would use up a whole charged amethyst. It doesn't have any choice. It has to take something from you. In this case, it's estimated it down to dust, and ashes to ashes, dust to dust. It uses a lot less, and that makes everything a lot more convenient. It'll even go into the decimal places to the hundredths, which is good for things that say they cost a negligible amount of media, such as like archers use a negligible amount of media. I think that means 1/100th. So that's a good thing to keep in your back pocket. It's now the next morning, and I just wanted to finally go over stuff that I probably should have gone over in the beginning. That hexcasting implements to just either fix your fuck ups or make everything go by faster. I just compiled a little list of that stuff that we'll be briefly doing. The first one is this is a okay, I already have it open. But this is a very dynamic spell that has infinite permutations. That's just a combination of V's, dashes, and that's it. This is just made for removing specific parts of your stack. So I'm just gonna get a bunch of different kinds of iotas here. I am a number hater. I want to get rid of that. I'm a vector hater. I'm gonna get rid of that vector. Most use cases, this will probably just be a little v because you'll probably notice as soon as you fuck up that you want to remove the top thing without having to completely reset your wand. So a little v, it'll get rid of the top thing. Let's put that back now. And so if I want to get rid of something that's 1 deep, I will still remove the first, the first and lowest part of my depth, which is 1 right now. So I'm 1 from the top, which is the vector, and now if I'm 2 from the top and I'm removing the first of those 2, it'll remove the 1 because that's the top, that's the lowest of the top 2. Lowest of the top 3, that's me. And so I'll get rid of myself as an entity. And so I'm just gonna get rid of the 1. Yeah, okay. If I wanted to get rid of more than 1, oops, that's 2 vectors. Okay, let me get rid of the first and the third. So I'll get rid of me, and I'll skip the second, and I'll get rid of the third, and I should just be left with 1 vector, which we are. That's bookkeepers, and then we've got and so I find this. A good application for this is trinkets. Oh, right, here's another spell, erase. I don't remember if this requires any media, but it just like erases the trinket. You're able to write new stuff in it. It gets rid of the media too. Yeah, okay, it doesn't cost anything. Ooh, and so let's make a quick little spell. Let's just do this in a way that we know we're fucking up. So if I want a little spell that just like, here's the print spell, by the way. This'll just print the last iota. All this spell will do is print me into chat. And so if I want to put this in a trinket, I'm like, oh shit, I didn't first select the amethyst, which craft trinket requires to craft the trinket. So I can still select it, and then I can get it in order later. So selecting the amethyst, this is out of order, but we can get it in order with jester's gambit. Let me get in a darker area, which is this little bow tie. I usually always write it in this formation, starting right, going up. I also, if I'm lacking in space, I'll write it in this formation, and that just swaps the top 2 iotas of the stack. Many potential use cases, usually just for fixing fuck ups as well. I usually use this when crafting trinkets, regardless if it's because I forgot to place down the amethyst or not, because sometimes I'm crafting trinkets that are like so confusing that it'll take me more than 5 minutes of the item's despawn timer to make. So I make the spell first, I put the amethyst down, and then I select it, swap, and craft. So in this case, we can craft the trinket, and this should just print our name in chat. Yep. Print doesn't even make a sound. Unlike our break spell that I just ruined. So we got jesters, Geminis, and prospectors. Okay. Gemini is pretty cool. Sorry to all you Sagittariuses that are out there. You're gonna have to deal with my sign here. And so here's Gemini just dupes the top part of the stack once, and the other version will dupe the will dupe 1 below the top stack and just move it to the top. So it's the same thing, but there's a little cross. In Gemini's, it's another little bent bow, but you bend and you like bounce off. Prospectors, you cross. And so this will dupe petpak on top of the 1, and it did exactly that. Many such cases. And dioscuri. Oh, dioscuri is this is very ideal for cases for many such cases in which you're like placing a light off of a wall. In which case we had to do both archers and architect's distillation. If you remember, we had to mention the diamond triangle, diamond 7 twice. It's kind of tedious and annoying. Wizards don't like tedious and annoying stuff. That's what makes them the comical, crazed little lunatics. So in our case, we're going to be using dioscuri and rotation to just like to dupe the diamond triangle, the output of diamond triangle, diamond 7, once. And so you could see I already fucked that up once because OBS wasn't recording. And so I'm gonna do this again. So diamond triangle, diamond 7 of our position. That's taking the wall right in front of us. And so if I want to place a light right off of it, we're going to do like we did before. We're going to end up with the same stuff that we had before, but we're just going to do it in a way that would be slightly quicker and use slightly less space. So we're gonna use this thing called dioscuri gambit, which is just like Gemini's gambit, but it has an extra chromosome or something. And so we do that, and it'll take the top 2 iotas of the stack and dupe them instead of the top 1. And now that we got that, we can run archers, and then we've got the position of the block that we want to place the light that we want to place the light off of. And now we want to move that new position down to the bottom so that we can deal with these two. Because now we need to run architects. So we can use the rotation gambits, which we can find in here somewhere. Yeah, rotation gambit 2 is relevant to us, in which like starting by going up to the left, or what I would form this to myself would be up to the left, because I usually write it like in that direction. Both these deal with the top 3 iotas of the stack. For rotation gambit 2, which is relevant to us, it'll take the top iota, move it to the bottom. For rotation gambit 1, it'll take the bottom iota, move it to the top. We're using 2 in this case. So if I just run rotation gambit 2, that other coordinate is now at the bottom, and now we can run architects and then add these together to get the position that we want. All right, cool. Now we effectively just did the same thing that we did when placing that light, but with less repetition. And now we can place light. Yeah. Okay. So dioscuri and rotations has their own applications. Anyways, this was just like a porous little series that I wanted to like stretch thinly over like most of the ensemble of hexcasting. There's many more things to learn. There's much more the lore to go over. Like, what the fuck is a greater spell? What do I do with this? I'm not here to teach you how to play the game. That's what the mod does for you. I'm just teaching you how to cast spells, because that's usually convoluted, and I wouldn't want to subject anyone to the torture of trying to read through the Pacioli font for more than like I don't know, 1.5 minutes at a time. So that's all I have for you.